How many glasses of water do you actually need to drink in a single day? Chances are the number in your head right now is 8. 8 glasses a day, spread out, sipped constantly, or you are somehow failing at basic biology. Here's the strange part. Nobody has ever been able to pin down where that number actually came from. Historians who went looking for the original science behind the 8 glasses rule mostly found nothing. No large trial, no landmark discovery, just decades of it being repeated until it sounded true. And yet your body clearly cares about water, a huge amount. An adult human is roughly 60% water by weight, and almost every process that keeps you alive depends on having enough of it around. So how does your body actually know when it is running low, if not by counting glasses? Deep inside your brain, in a region called the hypothalamus, there are cells built specifically to taste your own blood. Not figuratively. They constantly sample how concentrated your blood is, and the moment it gets even slightly too salty, meaning you are low on water, they trigger the sensation you know as thirst. At the same time, those same cells release a hormone into your bloodstream, whose entire job is damage control. It tells your kidneys to stop losing water, to hang on to every drop they can. That hormone is called vasopressin, and it is one of the oldest survival tools your body has. It kept your ancestors alive through droughts, long hunts, and days without a reliable water source. Which raises an odd question nobody usually thinks to ask. If a hormone exists purely to help your body hoard water when things get dry, does it only affect your kidneys, or does it reach further than that? To answer that, it helps to take a detour into a completely different disease, one that, at first glance, has nothing to do with how much water you drink. Long before anyone had a blood test, doctors already knew when someone had diabetes. They just used a method that sounds almost unbelievable today. Have you ever wondered how doctors diagnosed diabetes before blood tests even existed? They tasted the patient's urine. If it tasted sweet, that was the diagnosis. Doctors even had a word for it, drawn from the taste of honey, and physicians in some cultures reportedly checked by letting ants near a sample because ants would swarm toward urine loaded with sugar. It sounds almost like folklore now, but it captures something real. Diabetes has always been, at its core, a disease about what is floating around in your body fluids and how your body tries, and sometimes fails, to keep that balance under control. Today, the disease is not folklore. It is one of the biggest health crises on the planet, affecting hundreds of millions of people, and the numbers keep climbing every single year. Most of what drives that rise is well known. Diet, body weight, activity levels, genetics. Doctors have studied those angles for decades. But there has always been a stranger, quieter thread running underneath all of it. One that keeps showing up in the data without ever getting the attention it probably deserves. Remember that hormone from earlier? The one that tells your kidneys to hold on to water when you are running dry? It turns out vasopressin does not stop at your kidneys. It also reaches your pancreas, your liver, and other organs that are deeply involved in keeping your blood sugar balanced. When your body pumps out more of that hormone because you are chronically low on water, it can nudge those organs toward releasing more of the hormones that raise blood sugar instead of lowering it. In other words, running dry for long enough might not just leave you thirsty. It might be quietly pushing your metabolism in the wrong direction. That idea has floated around research circles for years, mostly as a side note buried in papers about a completely different topic. Nobody had really put it to the test on a large scale, over a long stretch of time, in real people going about their real lives. So a research team decided to actually check. Instead of anything complicated, they picked one of the simplest, cheapest tests a doctor can run. A quick check of how concentrated a person's urine is. It is called urine-specific gravity, and doctors already use it constantly, for completely different reasons. It takes minutes, costs almost nothing, and does not require any special equipment beyond a basic strip test. The idea is straightforward. The more concentrated your urine is, the harder your kidneys are working to hold on to water, which means the more dehydrated your body actually is, even if you do not feel thirsty at that exact moment. Using that single simple measurement, researchers sorted a huge group of adults into 5 categories, from perfectly hydrated all the way down to seriously dehydrated. Then they did something that takes real patience. They followed those people for years, not weeks, not months, years, watching who developed diabetes along the way and who did not. If you enjoy stories like this, ordinary daily habits turning out to be tangled up with diseases nobody expected, hit subscribe, because we dig up a new one every week. Now, here is something worth knowing before we get to what they actually found. Before we get to what they found, here is a detail worth sitting with for a second. Not everyone senses thirst the same way. As people get older, the brain's ability to detect early dehydration gets noticeably worse. Older adults can be measurably low on water and still not feel thirsty, which means the usual warning system that is supposed to protect you starts failing exactly when you need it most. Astronauts run into a version of this problem too. In microgravity, body fluids shift toward the upper body, which confuses the sensors that normally track hydration, and mission doctors have to actively remind crews to keep drinking on a schedule instead of waiting to feel thirsty. Men and women do not process water the same way either. On average, women's bodies hold a higher percentage of water in certain tissues, and hormonal differences appear to shape how efficiently each sex retains fluid. All of that matters, because it means dehydration is not a single simple state that hits everyone identically. It sneaks up differently depending on your age, your sex, and even your environment. Which brings us back to the group of researchers quietly tracking tens of thousands of ordinary adults waiting to see who developed diabetes over more than a decade. So what actually happened to the people who stayed chronically low on water? Across more than 12 years of follow-up, the pattern was clear and consistent. People who were dehydrated were meaningfully more likely to develop type 2 diabetes than people who stayed well hydrated. And the more dehydrated someone was, the higher that risk climbed. So what did the numbers actually show once every other factor was accounted for? Even after researchers adjusted for age, weight, salt intake, exercise, smoking, drinking, blood pressure, and cholesterol, chronically dehydrated adults still ended up with roughly a third higher risk of developing diabetes compared with people who stayed properly hydrated. And it was not just a one-time snapshot. Researchers kept re-measuring hydration at every checkup over the years, and the same climbing pattern showed up again and again. The drier someone's urine consistently was, the higher their diabetes risk kept climbing. 2 groups turned out to be hit hardest: men and adults over 65, the exact group we mentioned earlier, whose bodies are worst at sensing thirst in the first place. It lines up almost too perfectly with the hormone story from earlier. Vasopressin spikes when you are dehydrated, and vasopressin has real reach into the organs that keep your blood sugar in check. Now for the one honest caveat that matters here. This kind of research can show that dehydration and diabetes risk move together. It cannot, on its own, prove that not drinking enough water directly causes diabetes. Only a dedicated trial that actually assigns people to drink more water and watches what happens could settle the causation question for good. Still, the pattern held up across more than 70,000 people over more than a decade, using 2 different ways of measuring the same thing, and it kept pointing in the same direction every time. Which leaves you with a strange kind of takeaway. Out of every possible health habit, science keeps finding new reasons to worry about. This might be the cheapest, simplest one to actually fix. Nobody is telling you to force down 8 precise glasses a day. But the next time you catch yourself going hours without a single sip, remember, there's a decade-long study quietly suggesting your pancreas might be paying closer attention than you think. If you want to dig into the full details of the research this video is based on, it is linked in the description below. And if this kind of quiet, overlooked science mystery is your thing, there is a new one waiting here every week.